Welcome to the Liberated Feminine Podcast. I'm Lucy Lampy, your host, and in today's episode, we are talking about desire, but not specifically sexual desire. All right, we're talking about those deep, aching, gnawing soul and heart desires that you know you are here to fulfill. Deep down, it's like, this is what the fuck I'm here for. And within that falls all these other types of desire, including your sexual desire as well. Now, what is your relationship with your desire? With all of the different desires that you have, maybe the desire that you have for a certain kind of environment to live in, a desire for a certain kind of partnership, a desire for abundance, success, harmony, connection. What is your relationship with that desire? This is a question that I invite you to sit with beyond this episode, because a lot of us, we don't really think about what our relationship to our desire itself is. We just know that we want things. And a lot of times we grapple with the reality that we want, and we think, well, shouldn't I be content? Am I greedy? Am I needy? Am I clingy? And for those of you who also came from a church background, there is an added layer of, guilt or shame, really, for wanting more than what you have, as if it invalidates the gratitude and the deep honor that you feel for what you have. A lot of what is wrapped up in the shame of having desire for anything. And actually, before I get into that, I want to emphasize that the feminine, right? We're here talking about the liberated feminine, right? The feminine, her nature is to want more. Her nature is to expand. You're finally having the sex that you want. You finally have the affection, the connection, the emotional intimacy you want. Guess what? Then you want more. What's next? Not because you are lacking. Now, you can certainly come from that energy if there is not an awareness and an integration and an embodiment of more of these rich, truths in the feminine. But even when you are in your womb truth, in your womb wisdom, integrated in your dark and your light and aware of all these things, you will find that when you have what you have wanted, you will want more. And that doesn't make you ungrateful. That doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. You are tapping into this infinite well of possibility that the feminine is so deeply and powerfully attuned to. So congratulations. You're tapped into the juice, babe. And I know that it can be frustrating because it's like, it's never ending. And not only that, it can be very frustrating to the masculine, not just the masculine counterpart that you might be in partnership with, but the masculine within yourself. Because it's like, damn, is it ever enough? Because the masculine, again, within us all, the masculine wants emptiness. It wants to just give and be emptied. And this is why in the very real example of sex, the man ejaculates. He's done his mission. He's done. His body physiologically aligns with this to make him sleepy. Whereas the woman's physiological body, the female body, the more orgasms we have, the more we are energized. We just want more. We just want more when we're really tapped into that, And so this is just a microcosm of the macrocosm of the feminine and masculine and how they are always at play within us and within our relationships. And so zooming out a little bit and looking at this in the context of relationship, this is why it can be so frustrating for a man who is more in his masculine energy to feel like it is never enough for his woman who is in more of her feminine energy. However this plays out in your relationship, whether it is you are both female, both male, female, maybe the energies are not like typical. Maybe he's more in his feminine and you're more in your masculine. I don't know, whatever you got specifically going on in your dynamic. But just shedding light on how this plays out, where the masculine wants emptiness, the feminine wants fullness. And that both drives him wild in a great way and drives him crazy in a frustrating way. And same for us, we could be like, come on, feel more, like tap in more, be here with me, be present, go deeper. And so, this is why that yin and yang need each other. It's not just about balancing each other out, but they truly are two coins or two sides of the same coin. Now, a lot of the shame that we feel, or guilt, or just uneasiness around our desire is rooted in this belief that desire is the root of all suffering. And we will see this in certain teachings as well. I dare to challenge that. I challenge that. I actually personally resonate more with the concept of, desire everything, but need nothing. And that, for those of you who are familiar with the old mystical teachings of the Kabbalah, that deeply resonates with me way more than desire is the root of all suffering. It's kind of reminiscent of, money is the root of all evil. But actually, the context of even that has been distorted and stripped down to what's convenient for the people presenting it. When we look at that as an example, that money is not the root of all evil, but the pursuit of money at the expense of everything else, that's where you suffer. And likewise, the pursuit of having your desires fulfilled and the attachment to needing those desires to be fulfilled before you can feel whole, at peace, well, in your joy, in your radiance, that's where we suffer. And that's why that train of thought of desire everything, need nothing, that feels like a full body resonance, because it's like you're free to dream, to envision, to expand, to desire, to magnetize, to call in more, please, universe. Show me how good it can fucking get. Why limit ourselves? Same in our pleasure. I really started to expand into this in my self-pleasure practice some years ago, where I would just reach my current threshold and just say, okay, well, I'm done. I've had enough. And it got to a point where I felt that inner guidance in me saying, no, why are you stopping here? There's more, And I wrestled with that. I said, yeah, I know, but I don't need it. I'm good. I'm good. I don't know deep down that I've actually earned more pleasure. I don't know deep down that I'm worthy of it and that I have the capacity to receive it. And that's how you build your capacity. That's how you grow your vessel, grow your capacity for more love, for more pleasure, peace, abundance, all the things, right? All the experiences that our soul is like, yes, let's do it, is by consistently coming up against that threshold of our capacity to receive, our capacity to be in pleasure, and just lingering there for a bit and seeing what else comes, just being willing, just being open, not forcing anything, not forcing another orgasm once you've come once and that's all you're ever used to doing. We're just curious and open. What happens if I stay here with the sensation? What happens if I continue some light stimulation? What happens if I bring in more energy consciously into this part of my body? And you may be shocked at what comes through, at what happens. And so likewise with our desires, there's this really deeper inquiry to be made, that what if my desire is not the root of suffering, but actually my repression of it? Oh, that is flipping the fucking script, let me tell you. Because when I started to see that, not only was my desire not unholy, not only was it, not bad, not only was it, not greedy, but it was actually sacred. It was by design. And me repressing it, denying it, disowning it, pretending that it didn't exist was actually cutting off this flow of love, this direct channel to the source, to divine love. And that's what felt off, was the judgment of my desire, the disownment of it. And bringing that back into the fold, I'm not going to lie, it can be a messy process. It can be a messy process because you're also sifting through, okay, what in here is desire? What is that desire rooted in? Is it rooted in lack, fear, scarcity? Is it rooted in my desire to expand, in my longing for the deepest fucking love I can experience in this lifetime? And this is where that real transformative shadow work is. Those deeper dives into your heart, into your psyche, where you begin to remember on a soul level, okay, this is what I'm here for. Let's say it's not about the sex. It's not even about feeling desired. It's about feeling that oneness. It's about feeling that interconnectedness and the remembrance in that. And within that, you get to not bypass your sexual desires. I'm using this as an example because I think it's something that a lot of us can very intimately relate to. This doesn't invalidate the bigness and the richness and the power of your sexual experience. It just invites you to look even deeper than that without bypassing the sexual piece. Now, I know that there was a previous episode, if you haven't listened to it, about exploring our sexuality without bypassing spiritually, because you know that whole bit can happen where it's like, oh, but is it sacred sexuality? And it's like everything in it is sacred. What are you talking about? Even if you're just having pleasure for pleasure's sake, you just want to go, self-pleasure some bonus times in your day, just, because you feel like, I feel so turned on and so in love with life. And so just so much energy flowing through my body. How can I play with this? Not to just quickly diffuse the energy, but to further amplify it and cultivate it more intentionally. So, there's a lot to that. So go back and find that episode if that appeals to you. But yeah, none of this involves disowning or judging or making any desire inferior to another. What we are doing is expanding our ability, growing our ability to zoom out and see the overarching desire, and then see all these little, subcategories of expressions of that desire. And it's kind of like you have this soil, these layers of soil. The top one isn't any less important just because the deeper one is the most profound, right? We need all of them. And all of them are worth exploring. So your desire is not only not the root of suffering, I would dare to say, I would challenge, but it is actually a powerful and necessary access point to your soul purpose, to your life blueprint, to what you came here for. And the more that you can remind yourself to stay open to seeing where you are still disowning your desire, or where you are downplaying it or minimizing it, where you are silencing or quieting your voice or diluting your truth in order to not look like you want or need too much. And here's another piece to that. When you start tapping into the bigness of your desire, you might notice this creeping fear come up. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, God. Of being too much. And of your wants of your desires, your needs being too much, being a burden. There is a difference between something being inconvenient and something being a burden. And this is directly tied to our desires. How? Here's how. I'm going to tell you. If I have a desire for my partner to spoon me naked, and I don't have to intellectualize why. Maybe because I'm more pregnant every day, and I just want that skin to skin. Maybe because I just want to melt into that void of everything and nothingness with him before we both get our day started. It doesn't matter, whatever the reason. I just know that I want that in that moment. And if I don't have that, well, I will survive, of course. But it does no one any favors for me to, not say anything about it. So best case scenario, I can come to him with an open heart, not with defensiveness or criticism or blame or well, you didn't do this and now I'm feeling abandoned. But to reveal the tenderness of my heart and just expose, really, this feels so exposing when you first start doing it. And honestly, even years later, it can still feel quite exposing because there will always be another layer. But it can feel very exposing. And then he can receive that without all of the distortions in the way. It just saves us a lot of time and energy, y'all. I've done it both ways many, many, many times. And as much as we can work through the distortions of our sense of fear and lack and scarcity and wounding, it not only is it smoother, not that the goal is smooth, but God, it is, you get to divert the energy that you would be spending on having a fight about that into something else. Maybe that's a topic for a different episode. Okay. But the point is, if I don't express that desire, he would never know. I'm not expecting him to be a mind reader. I really do believe that all of us have telepathy abilities deep down, but how many of us are tapped into that? And certainly not all the time. So I'm not expecting him to just know these things about me and know what I want and need in the moment. And so if I express to him, hey, this is something that I want, and maybe in general, maybe in this season, until further notice, whatever it may be, then he can know, and then he can respond to that. Then the ball's out of your court. That's the vulnerable part. That's what makes it vulnerable, is that you don't have any say in how the other person responds to the revealing of your desire. And so a lot of us would rather just not even bother because we feel like we will be a burden, or because we're afraid of the rejection, or we're afraid of what the feedback of their answer will tell us about them. Oh, wait, sit with that last one. I'm going to give you a moment to just absorb that for a second, because that's fucking real. How many times do we not express a desire because we're afraid of what it will reveal about the other person through the way that they respond to it? Because maybe that reveals that they are not available for what you actually desire, what you actually need in that relationship. Okay, the moment is there, the moment has passed. Maybe sit with it some more later, but I needed to emphasize that. So your desire is holy. Your desire is sacred. Your desire is welcome. It is needed. You are severely cutting back and repressing and squashing your power and your voice by not acknowledging your desires. So if there's one thing I can encourage you to do besides sitting with that initial inquiry that I shared at the beginning about what is your relationship with your desire, maybe make a list of all the different kinds of desires that you have, all the different, let's say, levels. Let's say you just have the lustful ones, the lustful desires. Oh, yum, juicy, yes. All the kinky things, all the taboo things, and then drop deeper and then explore that. Okay, what are more of the emotional desires, the psychological desires, and then the heart desires, the soul desires? It's like, what do I want to, at the end of my life, not want to have lived without? I'm not even saying go into why, just list it out. List it out. And then perhaps if you want to take this another step further, then you can meditate on that. And I mean meditate as in contemplate on it. Sit in the energy of that. Just sit with the presence of the bigness of your desire. See if your desire and the totality of your desire has anything to say to you, any message to communicate. And then see what clarity comes from there. Maybe there is something you need to communicate. Maybe there is some change you need to make. Maybe there's a conversation you need to have. Maybe there is a ritual you feel called to do, a prayer to make, an offering to the earth, whatever that may be. And that is my invitation for you. And as always, if you have any thoughts or feedback or, yes, this resonates with me, thoughts, feel free to email me at support@thewildawakening.com or leave a comment if you're listening on Spotify. All right, thanks for tuning into this episode, and until next time, here's to liberating your wild feminine heart. Little porn star, you bring the boom, I bring the bass, give me a taste, lay me to waste. I'm your little plaything.